Yeah, we don't buy into bullshit on this channel. We don't. All right. And I'm sorry, that was blatant. So anyway, the television numbers have come out for that game, that high profile game. Maybe that's what they should do. Maybe they should become a traveling circus. Put a Ferris wheel out there, maybe a Gravitron, maybe some of them little elephants that go up and down.
The women's 3x3 basketball circuit continues its troubling trajectory as fresh data reveals the extent of audience erosion plaguing the venture. Despite promotional efforts highlighting a Philadelphia attendance figure of 21,490 spectators, television metrics paint a drastically different picture of actual interest levels. Recent broadcast statistics expose the chasm between physical turnout and screen engagement. The marquee Philadelphia matchup, which occurred on a Friday evening, suffered devastating competition from WWE SmackDown programming. Both featured contests registered identical 0.04 ratings within the crucial 18 to 49 age bracket, translating to roughly 40,000 total viewers each across that demographic segment.
Down around as they do a circle for the youngins. They can turn it into a carny situation and go from town to town and hope they can 6 months in advance market the showing to get a bunch of people showing up. Maybe they can get a bunch of local corporations to be like, oh, this is our chance to make a social statement. Let's buy a bunch of tickets. You know who wasn't buying into this?
These figures positioned the broadcasts at 146th and 160th respectively among cable programming, including one game showcasing Paige Beckers alongside another without her presence, yet both generated identical viewership totals. The TNT network aired these matchups, not True TV, making the anemic numbers particularly concerning given the platform's broader reach. Combined, both competitions attracted merely 80,000 viewers within the advertiser-coveted demographic. Season-to-season comparisons reveal accelerating decline. Through the initial 3 weeks of the current campaign as of late January, the league averaged 103,000 viewers across TNT and True TV platforms.
Who wasn't buying into this? Viewers on television. Viewers on television, and we'll get to the yearly statistics that have dropped, the year-over-year statistics that have dropped, because it is a total and complete unraveling of this 3x3 basketball league that key members of the player.
This represents a precipitous 44% plunge from the debut season's comparable timeframe, which drew 185,000 viewers. The mathematics indicate an 82,000 viewer hemorrhage per contest year over year. Critical context surrounds these already troubling figures. Nielsen's revised Big Data Plus measurement system, implemented this season, typically inflates viewership calculations by 5 to 10% compared to previous methodologies. Most programming demonstrates artificial increases under this framework, meaning the league's actual decline likely exceeds the reported percentages. Under legacy measurement standards, the downturn would appear even steeper.
Players Union is trying to use as leverage? You gotta be shitting me. So here it was right here, 21,490 fans. Oh, there they are. 2 players that nobody actually watched on TV. So that high-profile game, of course, was last Friday. Man, you want to talk about getting destroyed. They got absolutely crushed by WWE SmackDown. Seriously.
Broadcasting logistics further complicate the situation. Contests simulcast across both TNT and True TV average 135,000 viewers, while True TV exclusive airings manage only 64,000. The disparity underscores dependence on premium network placement for whatever audience remains engaged. TNT's contractual arrangement includes withdrawal provisions enabling exit following next season's conclusion. Given current trajectory, renewal prospects appear dubious.
Down. Seriously, they got demolished. God almighty. Craziness. So, let's just scroll down here. The Breeze and the Phantom brought in a .04. That's in the 18 to 49 demographic. That was good for the 146th show on cable. The Rose versus the Lunar Owls. Brasso brought
Standard television reruns, whether classic sitcoms like Friends or Two and a Half Men, or dramas like Andy Griffith, would likely generate superior ratings in equivalent time slots. Big Bang Theory episodes would crush these numbers without question. Multiple factors compound the crisis. Project B's emergence threatens roster depletion through player defection. Media rights uncertainty looms given TNT's opt-out window.
Brasso brought in a .04. So wait a minute, you mean to tell me both of these games drew in 40,000 viewers in the 18 to 49 demographic, and one of them had Paige Beckers and the other one didn't, and it was the okay, same amount of okay. That's all you had to say. Same folks, gotcha. It was the 160th ranked show on television on cable. Wow.
The fundamental business model appears unsustainable given viewership cannot support the infrastructure investment required. Initial skepticism surrounding the venture's viability preceded even Caitlin Clark's professional debut, when concerns centered on audience appetite for additional women's basketball beyond the established WNBA framework. Predictions suggested the operation would collapse absent securing Clark's participation. Suspicions persist that investor pitches promised her eventual involvement. Otherwise, the capital commitment defies business logic beyond operating as corporate virtue signaling, a phenomenon observed frequently since 2020 when companies enthusiastically funded various social initiatives regardless of return potential. The situation continues deteriorating despite attempts portraying otherwise.
Television on cable. Wow. Wow, that's disastrous. That is, I want you to, in the 18 to 49 ad demographic, they combined for 80,000 viewers. Combined. And these games were on TNT. Not True TV, TNT. Which brings us over to this. Unrivaled. And
claims of organizational success conflict sharply with objective measurement. Leadership associated with the venture, including prominent players and advocates, confront harsh mathematical realities contradicting promotional narratives. Some speculated converting to a traveling exhibition format might generate sustainable interest through advanced marketing and corporate ticket purchasing programs seeking social visibility opportunities. However, such approaches would fundamentally acknowledge failure of the current broadcast-dependent model. The numbers document a venture struggling to justify its existence within the professional sports entertainment marketplace.
Unrivaled and some golf league taking a viewership hit in the second seasons. Now, before we jump into the disastrousness that is their ratings in their second year, keep in mind that this is all under the new Nielsen metrics, big data plus methodology they put into place that has been inflating ratings.
Whether framed as experimental product or genuine competitive platform, audience response remains decisively negative. The gap between physical attendance at isolated events versus consistent television viewership exposes fundamental disconnection between promotional success stories and measurable consumer behavior. As the second season progresses, each additional ratings report confirms the pattern. Viewership continues eroding, demographic engagement remains minimal, and competitive programming consistently dominates time slots. The league functions essentially as a financial loss leader sustained by investors willing to absorb red ink for purposes beyond traditional profit motives.
In Madison Square Garden, there is a non-zero chance. I still think LeBron gives it one more year, but there is a non-zero chance it was the last time he plays the Garden. I don't think that, like Caitlin Clark is the reason. I don't even think Caitlin Clark is a main reason, but I think she's a factor. He's absolutely a factor. So you can see here, NBC, Rich Cordell spoke positively about Clark's debut, noting that she did a good job and handled the role with ease.
TNT's impending decision point regarding contract renewal will likely determine organizational survival. Without broadcast partnership and given current audience rejection, the operation faces existential questions. No amount of promotional messaging can obscure the basic reality. People simply aren't watching in numbers sufficient to sustain professional operations at this scale. The situation serves as case study in sports business miscalculation, where investment decisions apparently prioritized aspirational goals over market research. Whether driven by overconfidence in star power transfer, misreading audience appetite, or alternative motivations entirely, the result remains identical. A struggling enterprise hemorrhaging viewers while burning through investor capital with no reversal indicators visible on the horizon.
He highlighted her understanding of the game, her ability to communicate clearly, two qualities translate well from the court to the broadcast booth, where they'll also make clear Clark was well prepared and comfortable in the setting, something that stood out given the size of the audience and spotlights that comes being on NBA national broadcast. NBC Sports is already planning to bring Clark back later in the season. Riddell confirmed she's scheduled to appear as an analyst for the Knicks vs. Thunder on March the 20-something. He also added he hopes to see more of Clark moving forward, signaling the door is open for additional appearances. While no expanded role has been formally announced, the comments suggest
the recent broadcast featuring Caitlin Clark during NBC's basketball coverage generated exceptional audience numbers, though calling them unprecedented would stretch the truth. Network executives unveiled impressive statistics from their inaugural Sunday evening doubleheader programming last week. The matchup...
The comments suggest genuine interest rather than casual praise. My guess is that Caitlin Clark is going to be the she's going to be I don't know how to describe it. It's like, you know, when there's like a traveling tour and some people sometimes show up, an attraction. She's going to be an attraction. I don't think they're ever going to bring her on as a full-time, but she's going to be like a...
Additionally, attributing the entire viewership surge solely to Clark's presence would demonstrate faulty reasoning. The contest potentially marked LeBron James's final appearance at the iconic New York venue, creating another substantial draw for audiences. While many anticipate James extending his career another season, the possibility existed that fans witnessed his last performance there. Clark certainly contributed to the ratings' success, functioning as one element among several factors rather than the singular explanation. Network commentary regarding Clark's debut proved overwhelmingly positive.
But she's going to be like a well-paid extra attraction, like in the WWE when, I'm not going to say the equivalent of The Rock, but like when a part-timer, like say if Roman Reigns a part-timer, when Roman Reigns shows up, it's an attraction, it's a big deal. I think that's what they're going to do. I think they're going to bring Caitlin Clark on to make it matter when Caitlin Clark's on. Because I don't think, again, there's a bit of a difference. And you've got Carmelo Anthony. You've got all these big NBA.
Broadcasting executive Rich Cardell expressed satisfaction with her performance, emphasizing her natural comfort and preparation for the assignment. He specifically noted her comprehension of basketball nuances and her capacity to articulate observations effectively, skills that transfer seamlessly from competing on the court to analyzing from the studio. Cardell made explicit that Clark demonstrated thorough preparation and appeared entirely at ease despite the massive audience and intense scrutiny accompanying such prominent national television coverage. The network has already committed to featuring Clark again during the season, with confirmation of her scheduled analyst appearance for New York's contest on March 20th. Cardell indicated enthusiasm about incorporating Clark into future broadcasts, suggesting ongoing opportunities beyond the currently scheduled date.
You got all these big NBA names. If you just add Caitlin Clark to that over the course of a season, it's not the same as when Caitlin Clark is on it. Everyone watches when Caitlin Clark is on. And like, you saw it, Caitlin Clark was trending. Not the NBA All-Stars, NBA Hall of Famers that were there. It was Caitlin Clark that was trending. So, more Caitlin Clark already on the schedule. Never watched an NBA pregame show. Fact is that I think that it was a smart decision.
While no formal expansion of her broadcasting responsibilities has been announced, the executive statements reflect genuine interest rather than perfunctory compliments. The strategy appears to position Clark as a premium attraction rather than a permanent fixture. Similar to how professional wrestling employs part-time performers who generate heightened interest during sporadic appearances, Clark will likely function as a special event analyst. When certain personalities make occasional rather than constant appearances, their presence carries amplified significance. The network seems intent on preserving Clark's broadcasting appearances as noteworthy occasions rather than routine occurrences, especially given the presence of numerous former superstars and legendary players already serving as regular analysts.
It was a smart decision. I think that it was a really, really smart decision. I think that the NBA got it right. I think NBC got it right. They got it right by putting Caitlin Clark on it. And the scariest thing about this is that while this is all happening, we're going to be talking about it, Unrivaled's viewership is officially down 44% in last year. The official viewership numbers have been in so far. It is down 44% on last year. That is scary because the WNBA, it's growing year on year. College is growing year.
If Clark simply joined that existing rotation, her impact would diminish. Instead, making her appearances deliberate events ensures maximum attention when she participates. Social media activity during the broadcast confirmed this approach's effectiveness, as Clark dominated trending topics while established stars and Hall of Fame players received considerably less online discussion. The timing of Clark's broadcasting success coincides troublingly with concerning data from Unrivaled, which has experienced a dramatic 44% decline in viewership compared to initial projections. Official numbers confirm this substantial drop, creating alarm bells given the broader context of growth across women's basketball.
It's growing year on year. College is growing year on year, by the way. 1 million people watched Oklahoma versus Texas. Shout out Aaliyah Chavez, by the way. She is super fun to watch. Aaliyah Chavez is super fun to watch. That being said, you've got that, and then Unrivaled is just tanking. It is genuinely just tanking. So you're seeing everywhere, and I do stand by it that, women's sports as a whole is absolutely growing. And I saw an article from Front Office Sports, and it was like,
the Women's Professional League enjoyed year-over-year expansion, and collegiate competition similarly demonstrated ascending interest, evidenced by the million viewers who tuned into the Oklahoma versus Texas matchup featuring standout performer Aaliyah Chavez, whose playing style captivates audiences. Yet despite this overall upward trajectory in women's basketball consumption, Unrivaled finds itself hemorrhaging viewers at an alarming rate. This situation reflects a broader investment pattern currently unfolding in women's athletics. Recent reporting indicated another substantial financial commitment of $250 million directed toward women's sports ventures, accompanied by imagery of Clark despite the funding targeting women's professional soccer.
Article from Front Office Sports, and it was like, it was another group that was willing to invest $250 million into women's sports. And I had a picture of Caitlin Clark, and they were talking about the NWSL. I'm like, really? Is this what we're doing here? Is this what we're doing here? At the end of the day, this is where the money's going into Unrivaled. This is where the money's going into Project B, is that everybody knows that there is a gold mine somewhere. It's like in 2020 when everyone kind of knew crypto was legit and they were putting money into any.
This illustrates how investment capital flows into the space, somewhat indiscriminately, with backers recognizing substantial opportunity exists somewhere within women's sports but lacking precision about optimal allocation. The phenomenon resembles previous speculative periods in technology and cryptocurrency. During 2020, widespread recognition of cryptocurrency's legitimacy prompted massive capital deployment across the entire sector, with investors hoping their particular selections would succeed. Similarly, the late 1990s saw universal acknowledgement of the internet's transformative potential, yet investment poured into companies merely because they incorporated .com branding or maintained websites, regardless of actual business viability,